Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my brand new Lethal Flash Split Shot Carino. This is something that I've been working on for over a week and I had a couple of goals. I wanted to be able to push all content in the game and I did not want to stack dexterity, which means this build is so affordable. You can make it for next to nothing and push 5, 6, 7 billion damage. As always, I will show you every single facet of the build. Everything is time-stamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay, and I just figure we'll start with something easy to showcase where we're at. This is a maxed tier 7 map, so this is 7.2 with maxed modifiers. And you're basically unkillable and you will one-shot everything. And I really want to hit this home. We are not focusing on dexterity stacking for our Carino. We are focused on full physical build using split shot and taking as much critical strike damage and base physical as we can, which means the build is extremely cheap. Normally when you start getting into dexterity stacking, which is of course the best way to build it, you're spending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 flame elementium, where here you can get away spending hundreds to make something incredible. So this is 7.2, one-shotting everything. Let's fight a T7 Traveler. Now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna stand in the middle. We'll take damage, but he won't kill us.
I witnessed your death in the previous cycle.
T7 Traveler. Phase 1, done. Basically as fast as you can possibly kill him. Phase 2. Done. Fixate is giving us double damage. For our curse, we're using vulnerability.
I watched you.
Phase 3. T7 Traveler, dead. Now lastly, let's show off some tier 8 mapping. Now obviously at tier 8, you do have to pay attention. You will die if you get caught in the middle of something. But for the most part, even at tier 8 on the cheap, this build performs extremely well. You'll be able to push the hardest tier 8 content in the game, and again, on the cheap. Right now, even in the seasonal mechanic, we are pushing tier 8-1, which is feeling really, really good. And you will see we're just pushing through this very easily. And you'll see how fast the map boss dies. All right, let's run over to the map boss now. Oh, we'll clear these guys. Here we go. And tier 8, dead. Let me show you how to recreate this build. So let's begin by looking at our skills for our new Carino. And your main skill is split shot. And on your split shot, this is a physical attack. We don't care about cold. We don't care about lightning. We don't care about fire. This is a straight physical build. So on here, we have added physical damage, slicer, wind projectiles, slow projectiles, and multiple projectiles. And you will see the DPS on this skill is absolutely ridiculous. And I will show you how I got it so high. For our life, we are using life source. And the way that we have this set up is that enemies cannot remove the life source on you, and anytime you are in trouble, you can have it. I'm telling you, there's almost no time you need to click this button when you can't. Normally, when you die, it's because you get one shot, and you don't have the ability to click it. For a movement, we're using centralized loading. This is going to give you 109% boost to your damage after clicking it and 2 additional projectiles. And as you saw from the gameplay, as long as you are fighting an enemy, you are hitting an enemy, killing an enemy, you can use this as much as you want. It is great for damage and clearing. To boost our damage further, we are using Fixate. This is going to give you a chance at double damage, and we are enhancing this with Mania, Mass Effect, and Overclock. For our curse, we are using vulnerability. This is going to give you additional 20% to damage. And then, of course, just like everything else, we are boosting it. We have Abyssal Hatred, Terran Malice, Self-Concentration, and Increased Area. And by the way, Increased Area, they've changed it for this season where you get additional damage for the supported skill, which is awesome. Now, moving over to the passives. This right here, precise projectiles. I did spend a little bit of Flame Elementium to get a level 21 precise, which is the best version of the skill, is where we are getting a huge chunk of our damage. Right here with concentrated, you get 125% boost to your aura if you only use one. And then we take selflessness, and then we take stand as one, just further buffing our aura. Now let me show you. Look at our damage number. And then if we take this off, we deactivate it, the number almost cuts in half. This singular passive accounts for billions of our damage. So make sure you keep that activated and make sure you have enough mana to keep it up and running. We're also using Precise Acute Imbue, which is you get one imbue because it's not an aura effect. And this is where we're getting Mark. And then for added attack speed, we're using Summon Thunder Spirit, which boosts your attack speed by 27.5%. So those are the skills. Now you will notice down here that I have an empty skill, which normally drives people crazy. So I just throw it in there so you don't have to look at that mark up there. But you're always going to have one passive empty because, again, you are using concentrated. So you can only use one aura, and we don't have any mana anyway. So you're going to run this with 3 passives. Now, while we're looking at the skills, I will quickly show you my soul candles. This is candle number 1, resistance, damage, and physical. And candle number 2, crit damage and physical. Just know that these candles are not super expensive. I think one of them is one I found and the other one I grabbed out of the shop. Those are the skills. Now let's break down the talents. Our Lethal Flash is level 95, and I'm not going to go over the nodes. I will scan through them so you could screenshot them or get a good look. This is the first one, and this is God of War. And by the way, just so you're aware, this is where I am currently spending points. So if I got level 96, it would go here. If I got level 97, it would go here. So kind of disregard these bottom 2 until you are later in the game. Now on this first tree, there is a node that's important, and that is right here. And this is 25% chance for physical damage to inflict paralysis on hit. And this is basically means that enemies take additional damage. Very nice little node for your physical build. And up here at 12, we're taking brutality. And this is a blanket boost to your physical damage. And that is with 12 points invested. And then with 24 points invested, we are taking Have Fervor. Unbelievable. You absolutely want this. This is going to help you with your crits and show you a lot of those red numbers when you are in combat. Moving over to Shadow Dancer. And I will scan through this now. Good old Shadow Dancer. And right here, this node, 30% chance to gain 1 stack of any blessing when triggering a skill. You're going to be getting multiple blessings all the time. You're going to see all of them are going to be triggering because you're shooting so quick. And we go back. Okay, so that's Shadow Dancer. With 16 points invested, you want to take Blunt, 30% additional physical damage, and you get Injury Buffer. Gives you some survivability. And at 32 points invested, you want Open Wounds. Now, I tested this a lot. I first had Hair Trigger, and then I moved to Open Wounds, and Open Wounds almost doubled our damage. Make sure you take this one. Last but not least, Marksman. And I will scan through Marksman. You'll notice right here I have 2 points invested. At the time, I didn't need the extra lightning resistance. But if you need the lightning resistance, you could put a point here. All right. And back. Marksman, 16 points invested. You want Gale, which is going to boost your attack speed or give you damage per your attack speed. And then on here, you want Close Range Fire. And I will explain this right now. There's more damage per your distance to the enemy. Now, on here, you're either going to take Close Range Fire or you're going to take 3 birds with 1 stone. Both are absolutely awesome. But when you move over to your Statue of the New God here, you will see here that I have 3 birds, 1 stone. If you don't have this, okay, because you definitely do want this one here, 3 birds, 1 stone, you can also get this with Close Range Fire. So what I'm trying to say is Close Range Fire or 3 birds, 1 stone is what you want on this Divinity slate. And then you just take the opposite one on the slate. Basically what I'm saying is you want both. All right, I'm going to go through each slate. On here, damage is transferred to 1 minion, and you have 1 minion. And then physical damage per 10 levels. Physical damage per 10 levels. physical damage per 10 levels, physical damage per 10 levels, and a less elemental damage taken. And on this one, it's just evasion, max life, and some physical damage. So as you could see for this build, I set out as I did not want to stack dexterity. That was very important for me. Last build, we did 30, 50 billion damage, but it was an extremely expensive build, and we had to stack dexterity. So I set out for this build to be as cheap as possible, and all we're doing is just getting as much flat physical as possible, and a lot of it is here with your slates through your physical damage per levels. Now let's break down the hero traits, and this one is very simple. So for our lethal flash here at level 45, you want Dart Shot, which is going to give you more cooldown on your mobility skill and additional damage after using a mobility skill. Again, that's why in the gameplay you see me bouncing around all the time. At level 75, you want Lethal Interval, which you get darkness intervals based upon your non-channeled mobility skills, which again, after you use a mobility skill, you become a lot stronger. And then at level 90, you get your magazine capacity, you get your reloading time, and this allows you to just shoot over and over again while you are a lethal flash. And when we come down here and look at our hero relic, very simple, we're using projectile damage and projectile speed. And then you come right here to the actual hero memories, projectile damage, projectile speed. You guessed it, projectile damage, projectile speed. And then this last one here, I have projectile damage and critical strike damage. So any of those are good. Projectile damage, projectile speed, and critical strike damage. So now let's check out our gear. And I think what a lot of people are going to like about this build is you can make this on the cheap. You don't got to go farm a 2000 Flame Elementium dagger, or it's not built around this certain item. If you are good at crafting in this game and you play it for a little bit, you can literally have this up and running in days. The gear requirements are nothing because we're not dexterity stacking. So I'll go through the items one at a time and you will see how cheap these are. Physical damage, projectile speed, armor, max life, physical damage, projectile speed, amulet, projectile damage, mana, and some resistances. Amulet's terrible. Gloves, physical damage, attack speed, crit. Belt, I crafted this last night. I was pretty happy with myself. Survivability, less damage taken at low mana, resistance, and chance to avoid elemental ailment, and then a little bit of life and physical damage. Boots, max life, physical damage, movement speed. Ring on here, physical damage, projectile damage, crit. Ring, max life, regenerates life, physical damage, crit. And then our two weapons. We're using a severed wrist, and we are using a confession. Now, these are the corroded versions of them, and they're honestly not that expensive, nor are they required. You can get these two weapons, non-corroded, for almost free. I mean, legitimately, you could probably get these for 10 Flame Elementium. And let that settle in for a second. A build with basic gear, 5, 6, 7 billion damage using weapons that you can get for 20 Flame Elementium. Gear requirements are practically nothing. Now, when you look at the info right now based upon this gear, DPS 20 million, survivability almost 50 million, and my resistances are almost all maxed. Last but not least, let's talk about pets. And for this season, it was very nice because they gave us a free legendary pet. So the one legendary pet that I've pulled, I was able to take to level 2. So we are using a green Mike Wazowski, which is projectile damage, projectile speed, and attack speed. This is the pet that I actually have following me. A purple Mike Wazowski. This is increased attack speed, crit damage, and attacks damage. And then our legendary pet right now is the Flower Whisper. This is increased projectile damage, projectile speed, and attack critical strike. All three pets are almost identical as far as what they give around the ring, and any combination of these would work fine. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new split shot physical Carino? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I do to take this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I've earned it. And if I haven't earned it, I'm going to work harder for you. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. It is the best way to support into the future. You get access to game night, you get access to movie night, you get access to the VIP lounge, you get access to exclusive content. And by the way, Patreon game night is coming up May 8th. We're going to be playing V Rising's launch on the Action RPG server. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. First link in the description. I'm done. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.